Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to go over another player in our signing series to evaluate if I believe that AC Milan should sign this certain player, and today we are going to be discussing one of the most talked about possible transfers of the past year, Sven Botman. So this is very interlinked with our transfer strategy, so I'm also going to be discussing Alessio Romagnoli here, since his renewal seems like it's going to be paramount in whether or not we fully go for Botman or not. So we'll start off with just a minor analysis on Sven Botman in general. He is playing for Lille, who won Ligue 1 last season. Also, you will know that Mike Maignan was on that team as well, which is where we got him from. And this season, Lille not so good. They're in 6th, so quite a difference from where they were last season to this season. There was a pretty big difference in their form. They were just essentially playing out of their minds, and the combination of a lot of factors was doing. I mean, they lost a few players too, notably Mike Maignan and I believe Icone as well, who is now on Fiorentina actually. So Botman obviously had a good year last year. He was on one of the best teams in the world last year at that. They won the league. They were beating difficult teams such as PSG, who's always a threat given the amount of money that they can spend. But I didn't really watch a lot of games of him last year prior to us being linked. However, this year I have watched some games of his as well as their performance in the Champions League, just so I know who we're looking at, what are his skills, do I think he'll fit AC Milan. So I'll go over some basic stats as well as his kind of general playing style, and then I'll do an evaluation and give you my verdict. So he is a tall, strong defender, which is good. He's around 6'5", I believe, or 1.95 meters. He is 23 years old. And although this isn't a very important thing for defenders, he gets roughly a goal or two per season, it seems. Now onto some stats that actually matter a lot more for defenders is goals conceded. So last year when Lille was on their absolute tear and playing fantastically, they only conceded 23 goals in their entire season, which I believe is 38 games. However, this year they have already conceded 35 goals in only 29 games with 9 games left. So it's a lot different season for them, and a lot can be due to different setup, different motivations, and I do believe a big part of that has to do with Mike Maignan, who we all know is a fantastic keeper. Very, very proud to have him on this team as he is excellent, and that could have been a massive reason for it. And so you're thinking now, well, what's changed from last season? The goalie changed, right? But the defenders stayed the same. Botman's most common partner is Jose Fonte from Portugal, and he is still on the team, was on the team last year. They played together for most of the games, and I believe Jose Fonte has the most games played of anybody on Lille this season. So that's been the large pairing here, and there's a drastic difference in goals conceded. So could a lot of it been due to Mike Maignan? Could it have been just due to team motivations? I'm not exactly sure. But now we'll move kind of into what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, and see what our verdict is. So, strengths. Obviously, he is young, he is strong, he's really good in the air because of it, because he's also tall. So when you're tall and strong, you're pretty much naturally going to be good in the air, barring a few kind of different examples, but for the most part, tall, strong, you're probably going to be good at headers, good in the air. That's both offensive and defensive, and it is something that Milan struggles with. If you look at where we are always at risk, it's in those header situations, and I understand why Maldini and company are looking at him, because that's actually where we're pretty weak. We're weak off of corners, and if you look at both Tomori and Kalulu, who I think are fantastic defenders in their own right, their weakness is primarily with aerial marking. Not saying that they can't jump, because we've seen last year Fikayo Tomori registered an incredibly high jump. However, it's a lot different saying a guy can jump high than they can aerially mark. And that's definitely where they're weak at. On the ground marking, I really don't think there's that many better people than both Tomori or Kalulu. They're great. Positionally, they're starting to figure it out too, so their positional sense seems pretty great. However, in the air, we are weak. But is that worth giving up? Our positional awareness, our on-the-ground marking, the speed that we get for somebody who has a strong aerial presence. And I personally don't think it's worth it if we keep Romagnoli. Now, if we let go of Romagnoli, I actually still have a different strategy, because I feel like we can use our funds elsewhere. So I'm kind of getting into my overall opinion here because of the last several games I've watched from Botman. I do believe that it's probably wise to either re-sign Romagnoli if he can have a contract that's more reasonable, or to look for a more younger or a backup to Kalulu, Tomori, and Kyer. Because when you pay $30 million for somebody, you know they're going to come in here and they're pretty much going to be guaranteed the starter. I mean, they might not be. It's possible stranger things have happened, but that's definitely what you're signing them for if you're going to spend that much money. And from what I've seen recently, his positional sense is not that great. He is oftentimes out of position, and that's not going to be a very good thing because he's not a fast guy. Now, that's something that we always give Alessio Romagnoli a lot of flack about, is his lack of pace. I think Botman is a little faster than Romagnoli because, let's be honest, who isn't? But he's not a fast guy. He's just stronger and taller than Romagnoli, but from what I've seen, he reads the game worse. So it seems like a pretty even trade-off. Now, the one very big asset that Botman has is that he's only 22, so there's plenty of time to grow, and oftentimes when you do grow, it is in that positional sense. Now, you can't teach natural instinct. As it kind of says right there, that's just natural. However, you can teach positional sense. And I do believe that's something that Botman will get better at, so I have some high promise. Overall, I like Botman. I think he's a good choice for us. I just think it's too expensive for what it's worth. The reason why I say this is because our defense is already good. If you look at Romagnoli, he has played most of the games for us this past year. It has been him and Tomori most of the time. Yes, he's had some injuries. Yes, there's been some injuries to Tomori. Gabi's had to step in a few times. Kalulu has actually played a lot of games. But for the most part, our defense has been absolutely fine. Yes, there's been a couple of games that we were a little bit lackluster in defense, but most of the times our defense is okay. When you look at when Milan really isn't doing much in the games, it's not because we are letting up a ton of goals and we're losing 4-3. It's because we can't get that extra goal. And as you guys probably know, I'm a pretty defensive guy naturally, and I do like defense first. However, this Milan's problem is with the attack. It has been for the past few years, and when we look bad, we look anemic in attack. And so our defense really hasn't let us down. Even with putting Kalulu in there, who's a young kid without much experience yet, he's looked fantastic. So we're fine with Romagnoli Tomori, we're fine with Romagnoli Kalulu, we're fine with Tomori Kalulu. And right now, I think Tomori Kalulu is our best bet. They seem to be gelling very, very well. I think if you had two Tomoris, it wouldn't necessarily go as well, but Kalulu is something special in my opinion. I mean, Tomori is probably our best defender. I think he's excellent. I love his passion. But he's not as composed. Kalulu is just, he seems like an adult even at his young age. And some people are just born that way. Some people are born with a very mature, composed head on their shoulders. Not saying that Tomori isn't, but Kalulu just is. And so I feel like if you gave him the proper time, you're only going to see him go up and up from here. Now think about this. We have been against the toughest teams in Serie A with either Romagnoli Tomori, Romagnoli Kalulu, or Kalulu Tomori, and we have done absolutely fine. So what's the point of upgrading or supposedly upgrading our defense and having to pay $30 million for it? I get it, we're going to be in many competitions, we're going to lose Romagnoli, yada yada, but you're going to kill Kalulu's development. When you bring in a guy like Botman, you're expecting him to start. You're paying $30 million. You're going to use him to start, and then Kalulu is now relegated to backup. What more does Kalulu have to do to prove that he should be starting? He's been excellent. How do you get much better? If you've already been up against the best offenses Serie A has to offer, the best strikers such as Tammy Abraham, such as Victor Osimhen, what else do you have to do to prove yourself? I think it's very unfair to not give Kalulu that starting spot, or even give Romagnoli some starts because he's been here if we do resign him. I really don't think we need Botman. So if we do keep Romagnoli, we definitely do not need him. If we don't keep Romagnoli, I wouldn't want to spend $30 million on somebody. I'd rather get somebody who we can develop, maybe cost 10 or 15 million, and we can dedicate those funds somewhere else, namely our attack. Right wing, attacking mid, striker. So, not that I don't like Botman, I think he's a great choice, and I would be happy if we got him if Romagnoli leaves, but I think it's a poor usage of our finances. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you think that it's a good usage of our finances, if we should have a plethora of center backs, if you think it might have an effect on Kalulu's development, and whatever thoughts you may have. Everybody take care, thank you for your time again, and as always, Forza Milan.